Welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Dee Dee, and this is Randy, and we're at Frederick County Animal Control and Adoption Center on Rosemont Avenue, and we're going to be bringing you some adoptable pets today, starting with Lucy. And Lucy is a calico bobtail kitten. She has a tail. It's just really little, and she is available for adoption along with some of her siblings. This time of year, anytime between April and October, we usually have a large number of kittens in our care, but oftentimes they're in foster care, so you can't see them here in the shelter. But this time of year, at the end of the kitten season, we have new litters coming in every week, and Lucy is a member of one of those litters and is available for adoption now. And so if you've been thinking about getting a kitten, now is the time, because we have plenty. We have kittens with tails, kittens with no tails, kittens with extra toes, kittens with exotic colors, kittens with weird hair lengths, kittens with tufts of hair sticking out of their ears. They're all cute, and they are all in need of someone to call their own. So if you've been thinking about getting a kitten, come and meet them and tell us what you're looking for. We'll help you make a match. We color code the kittens based on how easy they are to handle. So if you are looking for a kitten as a children's pet, then you should pick one that has a blue name tag. If you are looking for a kitten that's more suited to independence and adults and being alone all day while you work, then you're going to look for a green kitten. A green name tag. We actually don't have any green kittens, but you never know. So if you are up to the challenge, they can be a little rambunctious in the beginning, and we recommend that they have a safe place to be while you're not home that's entertaining and enclosed so that your belongings aren't damaged in their exploration. If you are interested, I think she's hypnotizing Randy. If you are interested in a kitten, then now is the best time to come. Fall is a busy time in the shelter. We have over 200 animals in our care. Not all of them are in the building, so if you do not see the animal of your dreams, please ask.
You don't have to look at it.
We are back with our next guest, Michelle. And Michelle is a brown tabby female kitty who's only 10 months old. So she is suffering as all the teenager kittens do this time of year. She's not an adult cat, and they're attractive because they're set in their ways and you can see who they are, or a kitten, and they're attractive because they're tiny and cute and playful and active. She's at that in-between stage. It takes somebody with a big heart to take on a teenager, and she's also a little bit shy. So we had attempted to have her on the TV show before, and she was too afraid to do it. Now she's been with us for several weeks, and she can handle a little bit more. So she's a very gentle cat, but she is careful. You know, she doesn't want to jump into the arms of a stranger. And I talked to a wonderful couple the other night who adopted one of our cats, and they said that they want a cat like that. They want a cat that doesn't just love everyone. They want a cat that is particularly their cat, and Michelle will be that kind of kitty. She's going to warm up to the people she knows very well, and if you have people over, she won't bother them. She'll go under the bed or something like that and not need to be part of the excitement. So if you would like a quiet and introspective kitty, then maybe Michelle is your girl. If you are interested in her, then please let us know. You can call the shelter at 301-600-1546, or you can just stop by 1832 Rosemont. We are here on Wednesday and Thursday nights till late, so you can work it around your schedule and be able to see all of our animals. It is good for them to meet strangers, so I encourage people to come by, even if you're not thinking of adopting right now. Find out more about the shelter. But chances are that if you are even interested in the shelter, it means you like animals, and when you stop by, you may not find the perfect animal, but sometimes it does happen just that way. People stop by with no intention of adopting, and they see just a cat that tugs at their heartstrings or a dog that looks just like their childhood pet. And even if you don't adopt that pet, you certainly can become an advocate for him or her and share their picture on Twitter or Facebook, or take a petfinder.com printout of their profile and put it up at work. Every little bit helps. We are back with Junior, and Junior is a beautiful cat. He is what we call lynx point, and what that means is that he's got the Siamese gene that puts his color only on his feet, tail, ears, and nose. But he also has an additional genetic feature that makes his paws white, which is called snowshoe. So a lynx point snowshoe is not that common in wild cats. It's very common in purebred cats. But because he has the Siamese gene, he also has blue eyes. So just a spectacularly beautiful cat, and he happens to be quite nice. So Junior is going to make someone a very nice pet. And he's about 4 years old. So he has lots of experience being a pet, and he knows what to do. Randy said that he came right up to him in the cage and pushed against him, but when he put him in the carrier and brought him in here, of course he finds himself in a brand new room. He took a couple seconds to come out, and now is willing to walk all around and see everything. So one of the things I would recommend if you're thinking of getting a cat is to collect all the information we have about the cat, and that includes information from the previous owner, who in Junior's case gave him up because they moved, and they'll tell you about toys that he liked, place he liked to sleep, what kind of food he liked. Then gather information from the volunteer that helps you take him out of the cage. How is he in the shelter? If those two things are very different, then you have to think about what that might mean. If those things are very much the same, then you have a good picture of who the kitty you are interviewing for a future life with you might be. And then take them out and enjoy some time with them and see if you match each other, because there are as many cat personalities as there are cats. So you want to find one that's compatible for you. Some are active, some are mellow, some want to be on your lap, some don't mind being on your lap, and some absolutely prefer not. So if you have in mind what you picture doing with your cat, do you picture having a cat because they're elegant and beautiful and you want them in your environment? Or do you want a cat to be on you, with you, watching TV, interactive, playful? Because we will help you make that match. And Junior is a versatile and beautiful cat, and he's going to make somebody pretty happy.
All right.
We are back with Bonnie, and Bonnie is struggling with her TV interview. Bonnie can't hear. So a lot of white cats with blue eyes are born deaf, and so in her worldview, she's never been able to hear, so she certainly doesn't miss it. But what that means for us is that when Randy went to get her, she was asleep. So he has to, you know, take a minute to make some noise near her and rustle the blanket so she can gently wake up. And then he carried her in here, and of course she can feel his hands and petting her, but she can't hear anything that we're saying. If you say, "Here, kitty, kitty," she's not going to come to that. And she certainly can't hear us saying anything nice to her, that everything's okay or she doesn't need to be scared. So what we recommend if you have a deaf cat is to blink the lights on and off every time you feed them. And that way you can use the lights blinking on and off to get them to come into the room where you are. It is helpful for them to know what's going on, to have signals like that, because obviously they can feel you walking towards them because they feel the floor move, and they can sense breeze change when doors open and close. But you need to avoid sneaking up on them. It's not fair because they don't know you're coming. And Bonnie is about 7, and she also came to us because her family moved away, and that's a pretty common reason that cats end up in the shelter. So Bonnie is looking for a second home, and Randy's pointing out that she's swishing her tail, and a lot of people make the mistake of saying that it's like a dog wagging its tail. Not at all. A cat swishing its tail is saying that she's alerted, that she's on guard, that she's interested in something. So she's letting Randy know that she doesn't want him to hold her very tightly, and she would like to walk around this room and see what it's all about. So we may have to let her do that. We are back with Willow, and Willow is a very dark brown tabby, about 2 years old, and Willow also was previously owned. And another one of the top reasons that people bring animals to us is that Willow's owner couldn't really afford to have a cat. It isn't very expensive, but there's some cost involved every year with taking them to the vet to get their checkups and buying supplies for them like kitty litter. And you don't really have to spend very much money on toys because most cats like a balled up piece of paper or yarn as much as they like the toys that you would buy from the store. So certainly cat food is a cost, but I would not say that cats are in the group of most expensive cats. Obviously you have to be prepared for vet bills, as we already talked about. So Willow has been in the shelter for a little bit of time, and you might not be surprised about that since I've been talking about how many kittens we have in the building, and it makes it harder for the adult cats to get chosen. He's quite beautiful, so he should stand out. Beautiful green eyes, dark coloring. So hopefully Willow's going to be chosen pretty soon. And if you have seen any cats today that interest you, let us know or pass their pictures around. If you have seen any animals that you think might make a good match for someone that you know, then please let them know. We are going to be back after a short break with more from the Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center on Rosemont Avenue. Hope you'll stay with us.
Know what?
What?
Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these two. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're going to be hanging out a little bit more.
We are back with our next guest. This is Gary, and Gary is a beautiful fawn-colored rat with some little white markings on his face. He's only a year old, and he is available with another little rat. If you would like to have two, rats are social. They like to have roommates, but they don't always hang out together, so they're able to be adopted separately if you just want one.
That's great.
I will say, if you want a rat and you only want one, then you need to be able to spend a lot of time with him. They're very social, friendly, curious. They need to have interaction and be with someone. So if you don't want to adopt them both, then make sure that you're going to allot time to spend with your rat. They're pretty smart. Sitting in a cage all day doing nothing is not a good life for them. They like to go swimming. People don't know that about rats. Obviously, if you do offer them an opportunity to go swimming, you have to make sure they can get in and out of the water at their choice. Some people do that in just like a little bathroom sink, or you can buy them a little wash tub. Make sure you supervise them when they're swimming, just so that they're safe. And rats are smart, everyone knows that, but one of the most interesting things about them is that they've taught us a lot about the science of epigenetics, which is that things that we learn in our life actually change the genetics of our offspring, of our kids. So the more we do and the smarter we are in the enriched environment that we live in benefits future generations. And rats were one of the ways that we proved that by rats that run mazes have babies that are better at running mazes, so without being shown. So it's kind of creepy, science-y, but it's an interesting study and good for us to know how we can make ourselves better and do things good for the future. This little guy, Gary, is Randy's son's name is Gary, so it's kind of weird that he's holding a rat named Gary. So, but we did not do that on purpose to Randy. But Gary is a very sweet rat, and that's one thing to look for when you're looking for a pet rat, is a rat that's been handled a lot, is used to being handled, and makes it easier for you to spend time with them. If a rat has not been handled a lot, they absolutely can learn it, but you need to be more patient and know how to do that to get them used to you. Gary's already used to being handled. He takes food from your hand. He can be picked up gently and carried around if you so choose. And if rats are your type of pet, then we have these two. And also, don't forget about Small Angels Rescue. They take all of the guinea pigs, rats, hamsters, chinchillas, mice from us that they can, because keeping them here in the shelter is a little bit harder for us. We are really set up for dogs and cats. And so they help us out a great deal by taking all the small mammals that they can so that we don't have to. And yeah, Gary's like nibbling at his shirt. I think he's looking for treats and snacks. Oh, that's the other thing. Rats can learn to work for food. And so you can teach them to work little rat machinery, or to go through tubes or mazes or do little tricks, high five. So you can have a lot of fun with your little rat pet. This little bunny was found walking around town in Frederick. He is a Rex rabbit, which I'm not sure how much you can make out on the video, but it is an amazing velvet plush coat. Very short and very plush, and because he doesn't have any guard hairs. It's a special kind of rabbit. His coat pattern is called English Spot, but he is just beautiful. We are calling him Watson. We don't actually know his name since he was just found in Frederick, and we weren't able to find his owners, so he's available for adoption. And the reason that we had the rat and the rabbit on the TV show today is to remind you that we have primarily dogs and cats, but we don't want people to forget that we also have other pets, sometimes parakeets, sometimes chinchillas, sometimes hedgehogs, and we certainly would offer the wish list to any kind of pet. If there's a certain type of animal that you would like to have, please let us know. Obviously, you don't need to be on the wish list if you want a rabbit, because we usually have 5 to 10 rabbits here. But if you wanted a special kind of rabbit, like a lion head or a Rex or something like that, then you could let us know and we could call you when we get one. Watson has the unique experience of having been free and on his own, which is really terrifying for a rabbit because dogs eat them, cats may attack them, foxes may attack them, hawks will eat them. It's a really, not to mention cars, it's a really dangerous place for rabbits. They're pretty much food for every animal, and they are in danger of all kinds of accidents happening to them. Luckily, whatever wherewithal he has kept him safe for the amount of time that he was free until someone could notice him and let us know that he was out there. And unfortunately, we didn't find his family. It is possible that someone let him out on purpose. We hope that's not the case because of a couple of reasons. First of all, if we find that person, then there's a state of Maryland fine that's considered cruelty of animals to abandon your animal. But separate from that, because there is no charge for a Frederick County resident to bring an animal to the shelter, we absolutely encourage people to rehome their animals on their own in a safe place, to be responsible and keep their animals, to seek our counsel for training tips or care tips, to get veterinary advice for health tips. But if they can't or won't, then certainly we would have taken him here so that he didn't have to be on the streets. Obviously, everything turned out okay. He's safe, and he is waiting for his new home. We are back with Harley, and some of you who follow the shelter population will recognize Harley as one of the dogs from Brunswick. We got almost 100 dogs in at one time a couple of years ago, and they all looked very similar to Harley, a little bit spaniel, a little bit terrier, a little bit maybe beagle, and they all were very shy when they first came, not house trained and afraid of people, and of course they're all, they've come a long way since then, and they've all been placed in homes. But Harley is about 7 or 8 years old, we estimated, when he came to us. And he was returned because his adoptive owner, fell on financial hard times and can't take on the commitment of a dog at this point. So Harley has been very well cared for in the time that he was away from the shelter. And obviously you can see he likes the cushy life now, big fancy bed, and can walk on a leash and knows about people. These guys had a tough start because not that they weren't well loved, but they were in a situation where there were too many dogs and they weren't introduced to the greater out of doors and strangers. So they were really shy when they came here.
His collar says bad to the bone.
Yes, Randy's pointing out his collar says bad to the bone. And if you look at this sweet little dog, I don't think there is a bad bone in his body. But anyway, Harley is looking for yet another home. So he lost his home in Brunswick when that family got into trouble with too many dogs. And now he has lost his home again due to the financial constraints of people's responsibility for themselves. And if you have extra family members, extra mouths to feed, and you get into trouble, then sometimes dogs lose their home. So Harley is looking again, and he is certainly deserving. He's very sweet. And what happened to him during that time is he learned a lot. He got house trained and leash trained and used to people. So now he has a lot of learning under his belt to offer in his next family. We are back with Dolly, and Dolly is everyone's dream dog. She is lavish, and she is young, 8 years young, which makes her like a 40-year-old person. So a lot of times people will say, oh my gosh, I would never get an 8-year-old dog. But if you are 40, then that's the same thing as saying that you would be okay with someone saying, oh my gosh, I'd never date a 40-year-old man, or I would never marry a 40-year-old woman. That's just silly.
I guess I'm
Yeah, and me too. So Dolly has a lot to offer. This means that she has already gone through all of her adolescent crises. She is already who she's going to be, so you can see that she is cautious and polite and gentle and just everything you would want in a dog. And one of the things that people say when they get a pet for one of their kids is that, let's say you have a 13-year-old daughter who's been wanting a dog. And she's going to go to college in just a few years. If you get her a puppy, then that dog is going to be your dog for the entire second half of her life, which is great if you want a dog. But you want to think about getting a mature dog if you are getting the dog for someone who is going to be gone in a few years anyway, off to her own life. So, and look at how she's looking at Randy. She knows that people are good and that she wants some people of her own. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but Dolly has some beautiful brindle markings on her legs and face. And a lot of times people assume that that means that she's mixed with Terrier or Rottweiler because of where the markings are. But that's not true. You could have her DNA tested at your vet if you would like to, and that can give you lots of information. But what the Canine Research Council has found is that almost 90% of the time when you guess at the breed that a dog is, you will be wrong. So it is very important not to assume, and that's why we say she's lavish. We don't know. And she is a love bug and going to make somebody very happy. She knows that Randy's going to let her get up in his lap and sit on the furniture, which you can see her tail is wagging now that she knows that he likes her and he's going to be nice. What a good girl. We are back with Starbuck, and Starbuck is only a year old, a little beagle. And these beagles that don't have any black markings are called lemon beagles. And Starbuck came to us as a puppy and was adopted by a family who kept him for a couple years and then brought him back. Oh, that's true. Yeah, he's just a year old, but they got him as a puppy. They've kept him until now and brought him back, and so he's available for looking for a new home. And Starbuck was briefly chosen by a family who just lost their dog, and they were thinking of getting a new dog, but they changed their mind. So he was on our Pet Finder site, then taken off the Pet Finder site as spoken for, then put back on. So Starbuck is definitely in need of a new home and definitely available. He came to us with an ear infection, which we're treating, which you can see like his hair looks wet on his ear. That's from his medicine. And a cute little dog. Most beagles are very strong and pull on the leash, and Starbuck's polite, so he is used to living with a family and being a pet, obviously likes toys, and at only a year old, he's still a puppy for several more months. So if you are interested in a little beagle, then perhaps Starbuck would be a good match for you. And often people ask me, what about the name? What if you really like a particular dog and their name just doesn't suit you, and obviously names are important and they have a connection for us. Dogs don't care. So if you would like to change Starbuck's name, what you would do is, let's say you wanted to call him Ollie. You would call him Ollie Starbuck for a week, and pretty soon he would know that every time you say Ollie, you're about to say Starbuck, and then you get rid of the Starbuck and Ollie will work as his name. So dogs don't mind at all if you change their name, and in some cases, not in his, but in some cases dogs have a name that was used to reprimand them. Like if someone, let's say you have a dog named Max, and Max was always told, no, Max, bad dog, then that name isn't even good for him anyway. So when you get a new pet, changing their name is perfectly acceptable, sometimes helpful for the dog, and never a problem if you do it by introducing the new name right before the old name. So obviously Starbuck is lots of fun and is going to make somebody a great pet. So thank you very much for joining us on Pet Pals today. If any of the pets that you've seen today look like they would make a good match for you, come down to the shelter, 1832 Rosemont. If you're not in the market to adopt, think about going to petfinder.com and finding the picture of one of the cutest pets you've seen today and sharing it either electronically or by printing it and putting it up at work, or if there's a store near you that will let you do that. Any place that our pets can be seen where people go that may not have stopped by the animal shelter before is great and helps us out. And then the final thing you can do is share this episode of Pet Pals. There's a link at the bottom of your screen. You can share that. You can sometimes see our episodes of Pet Pals on Facebook, on our Facebook page. You can share pictures of our animals from the Facebook page if you are involved in social networking. And that really does help to get the word out to people who may never have been to the shelter and may not even know their perfect dog is here.